Howdy, folks. I discovered my autism back in July of this year while I was working on finishing my PTSD book. Call it serendipity or the stars lining up. There was a suggested video in my YouTube feed. The title was something like Unedited How an Autistic Person Speaks, something like that. And it was this autistic gal who talks about her autism, and I think she also had like a cooking channel, and she was doing kind of stream of consciousness but completely unedited video, so no clipping for pauses, none of that. When I saw the title, I thought, well, that's neat. I like to collect ideas for different characters for my stories. I also write fiction, and I try to include neurodivergent characters. I thought, well, that'd be probably really educational to see if I can find some noteworthy or singular characteristic that I could include in a future character in a story. So I started watching a video. Pretty hard to watch because there were 7-second pauses, 3-second pauses, 15-second pauses. She would look away from the camera, break eye contact. I completely forgot about trying to pay attention to what I might be able to use for characters in my books or my stories, because it was like watching my unedited videos. And at the time I was making videos about PTSD and mental health, and I think we had just started the series with my wife about being a caregiver for PTSD. But it was me, and it really kind of floored me. And that very same day, a few hours later, a friend of mine texted me and kind of broke the news that she thought she was autistic. And it was kind of a bombshell for her. That experience of watching that video and hearing my friend share with me that, hey, I think I'm autistic, got me really curious. And so I thought, well, this is just weird and intriguing. And so I went down the rabbit hole of what does it mean to be autistic. And I tried to learn as much as I can online, read and read and read lots of different articles. And there's a whole lot of people out there talking about their experience with autism personally or their experience with clients who are autistic. There's some pretty good information research-wise that's been collated on some of the more official sites. And then, of course, I started taking tests for autism. I'm making a video about autism, so the results shouldn't be surprising. I was very autistic, but also highly masking. So I had been hiding my autism. And based on what I had read and some of the verbiage in the testing material and people talking about it, I had probably been masking, hiding my autism for my entire life, so 45 years. That was a lot to take in. That was crazy. My very first reaction was, nah, no way, not me. And then, all of the other emotions started to pop up, like, oh, you're just trying to be autistic to be special, or, oh, now there's another thing wrong with you. That's great. You've got PTSD, you've got anxiety, you've got depression, you probably have complex PTSD. Oh, let's just be autistic too. Let's just be a little special. And like, I'm not attacking anybody, but that was the voice inside my head that I had to say, okay, guys, just shut up. Because a lot of the testing, even for adults, focuses on, did you notice these behaviors when you were little? Did other people notice this kind of pattern when you were little? If you're digging into autism at 45 years old, you've been hiding it for so long that you don't present as autistic now, or not very strongly. And so it really matters for the kind of the diagnostic process or the figuring it out, what you were like before you knew you had to hide it. And all of that long lead-up story brings me to the story from my childhood about my little autistic self that was kind of the confirmation in my own brain that, yeah, Brian, you probably are autistic. So when I was about 3, one evening after Dad is home, um, I'm down in the basement, and what I remember is I was in trouble for some kind of behavior. Had been acting out, or being a little shithead or a stinker or whatever you want to call it. Just 3-year-old boy stuff. I don't recall. But I remember my dad had talked to me and he had really been on me to change my behavior, really driving home, and he kept using the phrase, turn over a new leaf. You need to turn over a new leaf, Brian. You need to behave better. You need to turn over a new leaf. Turn over a new leaf. And I really wanted to be a better little boy. I wanted to do what my dad said. I wanted to turn over a new leaf. And so I got my rubber boots on and walked up the stairs and gonna go out the front door and go find my leaf with my name on it out in the yard and turn it over, and that would fix everything. And I was really hopeful about that. And I'm serious. This is exactly what was going through my head. And of course, what are you doing? Why are you going outside? I start crying again. I'm like, I'm going to go turn over a new leaf. I need to go, find my, that's not what I meant. You need to behave better. And I got in trouble again. So I come back inside and, I'm still like, okay, I got to turn over a new leaf, but I can't go outside. Dad's not going to let me go outside and find my leaf. So what can I do? And I'm still stuck on this turn over a new leaf phrase. Well, we had some toys there in the basement in a big box, and one of the toys we had was this cardboard apple box full of cedar blocks. So finished cedar 2x4s, because my dad worked at a sawmill, that he had cut in 2-inch lengths, and they made this whole box of blocks, and they were great. We played with them. We built castles and all sorts of stuff, and I loved them. And we had this old wooden bench down there in the basement set against the wall where we'd sit down and put our boots on or whatever. And I thought, well, maybe I can make, with my brain, I can make this block, one of these cedar blocks, I can make that my leaf. And then I'll turn it over and it'll all be fixed. And so I take this cedar block and set it on this bench and I turn it over. And nothing happens. And so maybe I didn't do it right or didn't do it hard enough, so I turn it over again. Nothing happens. I turn it over again. Nothing happens. And of course, what's happening in the bigger picture? The little 3-year-old boy has a cedar block on a wooden bench and he's flipping it and making all sorts of racket and noise and bang, bang, bang. Dad's already in a bad mood, What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And I'm in tears again. I'm like, I'm just trying to turn over a new leaf. I'm trying to do what you told me to do. And, I don't remember how all of it finally ended. I think that was a time where my dad said, it's just a figure of speech. And I'm like, well, I don't know what a figure of speech is. That's my first childhood story where I went, yeah, I'm autistic. Thanks for listening, folks. I appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about 3-year-old Brian turning over a new leaf. Maybe you've got a similar story for yourself from your childhood, or someone you know, or maybe from your children. There will be more stories from my childhood and from my adulthood. But for now, take care. Remember, hope is a choice.